Thanks a lot for staying with us on TVC Breakfast. Now it's time to take a look at stories making headlines on Nigerian newspapers this morning. There's several of them with us here. We begin with the Daily Trust. And the lead story at this time on Daily Trust is about the lingering Asuu strike. Well, it says no end is in sight as Asuu FG refused to shift grounds. Of course, we brought a bit of some of the issues earlier on in the program today. Blueprint is also towing a similar line. It's calling it 6 months into the strike. Asuu Adamant rejects what it calls Miserly FG's new salary offer. Miserly FG new salary offer, that's the bone of contention now. That's how Blueprint is leaning. Next is First News, also on the Asuu FG tussle. It calls the big story there, stalemate. We won't pay Asuu 6-month strike salary backlog. That's according to the federal government. The Nation is also reporting on the federal government's insistence on no work, no payroll for varsity workers. Government Asuu still deferring on salaries and payment platforms, and the students to sue teachers and ministers. All this and more on The Nation. Let's check out Nigerian Tribune next. It seems Asuu and FG, the drama there now is still going to be the main story for the most part of the day. Asuu members will not be paid for strike period. That's according to the federal government as captured earlier. The Daily Times, still on the varsity strike. Why FG will not pay Asuu backlogs of salaries. The Minister of Education there, Adamu quoted there in the Daily Times. Over now to Mike.
All right, I have, let me begin with the Leadership newspaper here. It says, suspense in PDP as Atiku Wike camps meet today. That's what the Leadership newspaper has, and partly party members worried over delay in the constitution of a campaign council. All that is part of the riders there from that story, and you see that on the Friday Leadership. From there, let's go to Daily Sun. Daily Sun says, angry Buhari orders security agents to wipe out terrorists. Angry Buhari orders security agents to wipe out terrorists. Directs Humanitarian Affairs Ministry, others to ensure IDP's return unhindered. Okay. And this is part of, this is Daily Sun. Now, Nature News is next, and it says, Oshibajo chairs Clean Nigeria Steering Committee to end open defecation in Nigeria. That's what the Nature News has. From there, let's go to the Punch newspaper. A Punch newspaper is talking about endless borrowing, and it says debt servicing gobs 13.17 trillion naira under Buhari. Education suffers. Federal government budgets 4 trillion naira for education in 7 years. The sector loses 837 days to strike. Okay, all that on the front page of the Punch newspaper. The Nigerian News Direct is next, and he says NNPC's 18.69 billion naira daily expenditure on subsidy worries the Federal Executive Council, as the finance minister is quoted as saying this. Says no personal access to bank statement of NNPC. Okay, you find all that on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct. And now let's go to This Nigeria. Oil subsidy quagmire, that's the focus here. Nigeria spends 18.39 billion naira daily on petrol subsidy. Zainab Ahmed, the finance minister, is quoted as saying this. Okay, that's what This Nigeria has. And then let's go to the Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard says 18.39 billion naira spent on fuel subsidy per day. Federal government is saying this. And says 6.210 trillion naira paid from 2013 to 2021. Also projects 3.357 trillion naira on MTEF for 6 months in 2023. All right, that's the medium-term expenditure framework. Fears it can't continue to carry burden. Okay, what will be done about this? You find all that on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Business Day is next, and it says Flared gas in 7 months equals Nigeria's power capacity. Flared gas in 7 months equals Nigeria's power capacity. That's what the Business Day has. And let's go to the last one now, which is the Guardian newspaper that I have here. Experts task Buhari governors on how to rescue ailing economy, right? Inflation rate ballooned by 170% under Buhari in 7 years. Focus more on agri-sector insecurity to stem food inflation, federal government has been told. These are the stories on my desk right now.
All right, so much before us. Of course, we were talking earlier about, you were making a point, Mike, on the lingering Asuu strike, especially now that the minister, Asuu Adamant, has urged students to head to the court to resolve this issue about no work, no pay, urging the lecturers also to consider the plight of the students who have lost 6 months. Well, Professor Sodeke is having none of that, and has even gone on to say, okay, this lingering 6 months is part of the exiting session, and that they're not going to go back to make up for the time lost. They will rather go on into a new session.
Well, the point there is we still blame the government, because the issue there is this has been on since 2009. If you know that this is not agreeable, let's work out something that we, you, and us. This is Nigeria. Everyone who aspires to become the president of this country or whatever, they understand the country. They know the peculiarities. They know the challenges. They know the realities. They know everything about Nigeria, or it is assumed. So the point there is, you sign a document saying we have agreed with Asuu, this is what is going to happen, A, B, C, D, E, and all of that. And then when it's time to implement, you renege on that, and then you come back again and you sit. Nobody's going to take you seriously. So we know that, of course, government is a continuum. The person who was Minister of Education or who was president in 2009 is not the same person now, but government remains government. It is the same thing. The president who was president of Asuu in 2009 is not the same president now. But the point there is the organization remains, and all of the issues were talked about. All of the issues were looked into. So on what ground did you sit down and say, let me pen this thing down? So if it has been penned down, then abide by your side of the bargain. The moment you do that, of course, there won't be cumulative carryover of some of these issues from year to year. It's over a decade.
I like to know what the law says about
no work, no pay.
No work, no pay.
Because from what is out there now is that other issues are being resolved. Unless Asuu says the issue of funding the universities has not been resolved. Asuu has not said that. Asuu has not said any other thing other than, I want my money. Pay me my salary when I was not working. I don't know. I want to know what the law says, whether it is admissible that some of them have said, you know, oh, we have been doing other things, doing research. Come on. Which research have you been doing in Nigerian universities? Give us evidence of all the research you have been doing. Say we do other things. But your basic job is to your students. Your basic responsibility is to your students. And you have not been doing that. You have not been in classes for how long? How many months now? Since
February 14. It's more than 6 months
exactly. Now. They didn't even say, okay, pay us 1 month or pay us 2 months. No, you have to pay us a backlog of salaries.
Well,
when you didn't work, I want to know what the law says.
It seems this issue of no work, no pay now has kind of overshadowed, because it doesn't appear that the issue of funding has been resolved. If that had been resolved,
they didn't say they didn't resolve it.
All right.
They didn't say so.
Right.
All right, let's read this. The section 43 of the Trade Dispute Act says that when a worker goes on strike, especially those on essential services, the employer can also refuse to pay. And that is what they call the no work, no pay.
No pay.
I believe we could get someone who will, break these things down for us.
Because this is not even the first time. This is not the first time that we've had the labor
has
always been slugging it out.
What is more important to me in all of these issues is, have they resolved the other issues? What are the issues that have been resolved? in this matter. The issue of taking care of infrastructure of the university, the issue of getting money to the universities, the issue of repairing, getting the laboratories to work, or funding essential services, and all of that. Have they been resolved? Nobody's talking about that now.
But
as if that is not the priority.
But the minister is saying now that as against, because it wasn't only Asuu that was on strike, there
That
was
the others have
NASU,
already
the
agreed.
non-academic staff union, the senior staff union, and the academic technicians, or the technology academic technicians, so to speak, that those ones have agreed to end their strike, and that in the coming week they're going to head back to the institutions. That much is what the federal government is saying. But the issue, because Asuu was still complaining that you can't be telling us to make concessions when we are daily seeing reports of leakages here and there, mismanagement of the economy, you know, and other issues. Borrowing, our debt profile, of course, is also alarming. So, you know, that is what Asuu is still standing on, and then throwing it back at us that we are the ones not willing to make concessions when there are, you know, yawning problems. And again, if you look at what Zainab Ahmed said yesterday about the daily payments being made to, on the issue of oil subsidies. You know, if you look at the backlog as against what has been invested into the education system, there is a yawning gap.
Asuu, I believe for Asuu, it's not because they cannot concede or shift the grounds. But the point there is that we are looking at the issue of priority. What has government prioritized? So it means government is prioritizing oil subsidy and all of these issues more than education or over education. So they are trying to put their foot down to say education is more.
But Asuu has not said that. Asuu didn't say all of that yesterday. They're only talking about salaries.
The challenge now is on the federal government and even Asuu as well to help us understand what the problem is now.